All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are some Nascar here, the Pocono 400, the shit show that is becoming because of all the tech issues that happened. I'm Jeremy Radke, also known as Radjer on DraftKings and FanDuel. If you're looking for me there, check it out. But we're going to talk a little bit here about the race and go from there. It was going to be a good day, I thought, with everything that happened with qualifying. This, that, and the other. I thought it was going to come down to the Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch. Pick your driver, pick your dominator, go from there. But then post-tech happened, and they both failed along with 11 other drivers, which we'll talk about here a little bit. So 13 guys failed tech, and because of that, it'll all be based off of owner points, those guys start in the back, and then it also messes up the punts, which we'll talk about a little bit here too. So originally, the big three, which moving forward, I'm going to group these drivers differently through the rest of the year. The big three will be the top three guys we'll talk about because I feel like you need one of them every week in your lineup to win. And this week it was going to be Harvick 1, Kyle Busch 2, MTJ 3, based off of their qualifying. But then after tech, it changes everything. So I'm not sure what to do with the big three this week. Kyle Busch is the top price driver on DraftKings, and you start 28th. Martin Truex Jr. was the second most, and Kevin Harvick's third, and they're starting now 8th and 29th. So of the three, I still think Martin Truex Jr. is the third of the group just because of place differential now. And the other two, I think it's 1A, 1B. So it's kind of, again, take your pick. You can easily build a lineup with both of them, which, if you're looking at it, Kyle Busch here the last 4 or 5 races has been solid. Average driver rating of 123.5, Harvick 123.4. If you break down the DraftKings points, the last 4 races, Harvick has averaged 63 DraftKings points, Kyle Busch 61.75. And it's really come down just who can get the dominator points, which now obviously they can get fastest lap points, but the laps led points are going out the window with those two since they're not starting 1 and 2. The last race, they led the most laps between the two of them. Harvick led 89. Excuse me, they did not lead the most laps out of the two of them. Harvick led 89 laps. Martin Truex Jr. led 31. And Harvick also had the most fastest laps at 35 in the last race. So I really love the Harvick play. He was super fast in the 10-lap average in both practices today also. So I think of the two, I think Harvick is the better play over Kyle. And Truex Jr., he'll be low owned just because the other two are starting so further back. So if you want to be contrarian, throw MTJ in some lineups. So then we'll move down to the next group of drivers, which will be Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Clint Boyer. That'll be the next group we're going to talk about here. Larson showed some speed in practice today. He was top 5. And he also failed Tex, who's starting 32nd. So that kind of throws a wrench into things. Because I think you get better value by moving down on the list. But then again, I think he's going to be low owned because of his price tag at 10-4 on DraftKings. So I think you can easily play Larson just to be different. The last 4 races here, he's averaged finished at 12th. He's averaged 11.5 laps led. Again, I think you have to throw that out the window. He only has averaging 5.8 fastest laps the last 4 races here. So, again, I think it's more of a contrarian play. But then again, starting 32nd, you can't go wrong by playing him. Just because the place differential points will be there. He easily is a top 10 car. Denny Hamlin, he used to own this joint until the repave, and he struggled a little bit here in the last 4 races. Let me pull him up here. He's average finish at 14.5. Only his average 4.8 laps led and 4.5 fastest laps the last 4. But here's where I think this is going to come into play. Being 10,000, I obviously think there's better value, like I talked about with Larson. But he's starting on the front row, and all the other strong cars are starting further back. So I think Denny Hamlin will work with Suarez, let Suarez maybe lead lap 1. But this isn't a 1.5 mile track, so it's not like you're going to be, 25 seconds in and you're back to the start-finish line. This is a 45, 50-second. It's a 2.5 mile track, 45, 50-second laps. I could easily see Hamlin passing Suarez and leading the majority of the first stage. And then you have to factor in strategy, because you can get pit strategy whenever you want. If you're within 13 to 18 seconds of the leader, I forget exactly what it is, so we'll just call it 15 seconds. You can easily pit here, not lose a lap. If a caution falls right, everyone else pits. Track position, track position, track position. And you can easily get dominator points that way. So Hamlin could easily, I see him leading a lot of laps early on, starting second. To me, he's in play. Joey Logano at the next driver we're going to talk about here a little bit. Of the guys starting in the back, I like Logano the least. His average finish here is 24th. The last 4, 9.5 laps led, average, and 4.3 fastest laps. I just look at his price tag at $9,700, and you can drop down to Boyer for $600 less. And you can even drop down to Jimmy Johnson, Ryan Blaney, those guys, and I think you have better value. Logano, he won Talladega. He's been better this year than he has been in years past. But then again, I don't know about Logano. He has 1 top 10 here in the last 4 races. So nothing great here. Average start of 9, and like I said, average finish of 24. To me, there's better plays than Logano. Brad Keselowski, starting 4th. I liked Brad when he was starting probably like 8th or 9th. He's 4 top 10s, 4 top 5s. Average finish at 4.2. So I see him finishing where he starts. Again, strategy comes into play here. Last 4 races, he has averaging 8.8 laps led and 10.8 fastest laps. He's averaged 53 DraftKings points, which is the fourth most, which we have to throw the one guy out, Regan Smith, who ran one race here and got a total of 68 DK points because he had 27 place differential points, but he's not racing this week. So we'll call him third. Average finish 4.3, average start 10.3. Like I said, if he was starting further back, I'd love to play. But then again, I think he could be a dominator play because the stronger guys are starting further back. All right, Clint Boyer. He's going to be one of my favorite plays this week. You look at it, he's definitely a place differential play. He struggled here a little bit, but he's starting 31st. His average finish here in the last few races is 17.3, but you have to take into account he was in crappy equipment. Well, I guess not. Yeah, he was in one of those races because last year he was in the 14 car as well. But this year's been totally different. Stuart Haas. They've been the strongest team by far. And it's just getting these guys right between Boyer, Suarez, Boyer, Almirola, and Kurt Busch. It's about getting them right and pairing them with Kevin Harvick. So I love Boyer this week, starting 31st. You know, he's a top 10 guy this year. Give me a top 10. I'll take that all day long. So the next group of drivers we're going to talk about, Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Eric Almirola, Eric Jones, and Jamie McMurray. Jimmy Johnson, the Hendrick camp, they've struggled all year long. We look back at the June race with Jimmy Johnson, and what did he do? Finished 8th, started 15th. So I think this is a great spot to play Jimmy Johnson. He ran that race in the top. Was running in that race top 10 at 10th. He led a couple laps, and again, that's all strategy plays, staying out, leading laps. Caution falls right, you're good. If it doesn't, you're kind of screwed. So I like Jimmy this week just based off his starting spot of 35th. Average finish here of 20th. So again, you get a top 20 there, you're okay. He had the brake failure. I want to say it was one of the races. It was one of the races last year, so you have to take that into account. And that was a hard hit. Him and McMurray both lost their brakes at the same time. It was kind of crazy. Kurt Busch, again, Stuart Haas car. He surprised me last week by leading as much as he did. Average finish here of 11.5 the last 4. You starting 7th. I mean, if he was starting on the front row, I could easily see him leading some laps. This is one of those plays. It's going to be 50-50 in my opinion. He's had 0 laps led here the last 4 and averaged 1.8 fastest laps last 4. So he hasn't led any laps. So, I mean, he's averaging 32.5 DK points, average finish of 11.5. I'm leaning more towards the fade category for him based on that. And then like I said, you could drop down to Ryan Blaney for $200 less. And he's won here recently, and he's going to kill it, I believe. Average finish of 12. The last 4 races for Blaney, 5.3 laps led, fastest laps of 4. He sat the pole here the last race. I think he's a better play than Kurt just because of the place differential. And with the Penske cars, it's all about strategy with them, so I could see them playing that. Chase Elliott, to me, is a sneaky play of the weekend. He's the average finish here, 15.3. He hasn't led any laps in the last 4. Fast lap, 6.8. But I want to say it had to be at least 5 races ago because my data only has the last 4. But he led laps and he competed with Kyle Busch and pushed him at one point. And I want to say it was August of 15. When was it? It was one race where he ran well, and I know he pushed Kyle for the lead at one point. But I think he could be a sneaky play. He showed a little bit of speed the last few weeks, so I think he could easily lead some laps. To me, he's the sneaky play. He's the throw him in the lineup, have some fun. Starting 6th, $8,400. You could easily play him, and he's going to be low owned. I think there'd be more like the guys around him. Blaney's going to be higher owned. Almirola's going to be higher owned, which is the next guy we're going to talk about. He started 34th. He messed up qualifying in the June race. Started 33rd, 34th, finished 7th. So he's right back in that same spot. Strong car. Best teams. Stuart Haas, like we talked about, best teams this year. So I love the Almirola play. I think he's definitely in play this week. It's been hit or miss for him here, but starting 34th, I don't think you can go wrong. Eric Jones starting 3rd. I'm not a big Eric Jones fan this week. I don't see the upside there, especially when you can only pay up $100 more for Almirola. Or pay down, as we're going to talk about in the next group of drivers, some other guys. He's been really fast the last few races. I just don't see the upside. He has averaged 42.5 DK points the last 4 races. Average finish at 13.3. 3 fastest laps led and not even one, or laps led and not even one fast lap. So to me, I think he pushed him towards the fade pile based on that. All right, next group of drivers we're going to talk about Jamie McMurray, Daniel Suarez, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Matt Kenseth, Ryan Newman, and Austin Dillon. Now we're starting to get down to the range where this is the range that's going to win or break your lineup, in my opinion. McMurray, don't even play. Total fade. He's qualified here. Seems like every race, and then just goes garbage. McMurray's average start here is 8.3, and he's starting 8th or 5th now, I believe. Yeah, 5th. So his average start is 8.3. Average finish of 24.5. Do not play McMurray. If you play McMurray, I don't think you like money. That's my opinion. Daniel Suarez, I don't like him at all either. To me, it's a total fade. Average finish in the 3 races he's ran here is 15.3. I just don't see him holding on to the lead that long. I just see Hamlin or Keselowski taking the lead. If Suarez led a lot of laps, Let's just look here real quick at my chart. We're getting out of that range where if we're playing these guys, we want 30 to 35 points out of these guys. And if Suarez was starting first, fifth place would give him 35, seventh place would give him 31, eighth would give him 29. Not counting laps led or fastest laps. I just don't see Suarez finishing in the top 10 in this race. I mean, pit strategy could come into play like we've talked about and could, but he's only averaged 27.5 DK points the last 3 to 4 races here. And his average finish of 15.3, average start of 13.3. So he overqualified today on third, gets the pole because of the tech issues. I just don't see how you can play him this week. If you want to play him if you're playing 20 lineups, but don't do it otherwise. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., I will have none of, starting 17th. Average finish of 14.8. Strategy-wise, he could lead some laps, have some fast laps. They're going to have to gamble trying to get into the playoffs. I believe they're on the outside looking in right now, but I just think there's better value other places with him starting 17th. With all the guys on the back, I just think he loses too many spots. Matt Kenseth the same way. He ran well here in the other race. In the earlier race, he finished 13th, I want to say it was. Finished 9th. No, that's not the right car. That's not the right race. Wrong race. Sorry here. Kenseth. Finished 13th, started 26th. His average running position, though, was 26. So he's running right where he started. So I have a feeling the wrecks late in the race played a role in him finishing as high as he did. And he ran 8.8% of the laps in the top 15. Didn't lead any, didn't do anything. With him starting 11th, I don't see, honestly, how you could play Matt Kenseth. If he was starting 30th, sure. But Roush equipment blows. And half the data we have off Matt Kenseth is in Gibbs equipment, which the last 3 years has been the best equipment in the sport. Ryan Newman at start 9th. I don't see how you could play Ryan Newman when you can drop down to Austin Dillon or Paul Menard. Again, it's going to have to come down to strategy plays that he is even in the winning lineup, in my opinion. The last 4 races for Ryan Newman, his average finish here 16.3. And he's averaged 0.3 fast laps and 0.3 laps led. So starting 9th with too many strong guys behind him and guys better than him in front of him, not even worth the play. Austin Dillon, one of them, I think this is an interesting play. Starting 37th, he showed great speed in practice today. Let me pull it up here real quick. In final practice, Austin Dillon was 4th fastest on the 10 lap. And he's starting 37th. So I think he's a great play. But then again, every time I play Austin Dillon, he seems to screw me over. So take that for what it's worth. His last 4 races here, he's average finish of 14.8 and fast laps and laps led of 1.3 each. And his DK points are at 32.75, but we're in this range now where with him starting 37th, we would like Like, just give me 35 to 40 DK points. Start 37th. That's 23rd place finish. And I think he can easily get that in this race. So go ahead and fire up some Austin Dillon. Next guy we'll talk about here. Alex Bowman starting 10th. He hated his car in practice. Wasn't good. He's starting 10th. Fade. Don't play Alex Bowman. All right, Paul Menard are the next group of drivers. Now we're getting to that next range. Sorry about that. The next range was Alex Bowman, Paul Menard, William Byron, Casey Kane, AJ Allmendinger, Bubba Wallace. And here's where tech kind of screws everything up. Like I talked about, Alex Bowman starting 10th. He's starting way higher than he should be. Don't play him. Paul Menard starting 36. Solid play. $6,700 on DraftKings. Like I said, like we talked about with Austin Dillon, if you get me, what did we talk about, 23rd, 24th? With Paul Menard or William Byron, that gets us the range we need to be. I think you could play these guys and easily fit Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. So if you put Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick in your lineup together, you got $6,700 left for your last four guys. You could easily go Casey Kane's starting 40th. Total bargain there. He did change engines. Today you can go Bubba Wallace at 6,100. That bumps you up to 72.5. You can easily go up then to, like, say, an Eric Almirola at 8,200. Still have 6,300 left, which kind of puts you in a bind, honestly. And then, but you can mess with it a little bit. You can go down to, golly, these guys. The punts are just garbage. I mean, you could put William Byron in and have 7,900 left with Casey Kane, William Byron, Bubba Wallace. I mean, it's an interesting thing. An interesting way to mess with it. But we're in that range now where we just want a 25 place finish with these guys. Paul Menard, William Byron. William Byron he qualified really well. I mean, I think he qualified 6th originally, and then now he's starting 38th. Casey Kane starting 40th. He did change an engine in practice. He's been good on flat tracks in years past, but that was in Hendrick gear. And this equipment isn't as good, but starting 40th, you have a small floor, small floor with him and a high upside. I mean, anything could happen here. And again, pit strategy, like I said, you starting 40th. Let me get the chart back out. To get me 35 DK points, that's a 24th place finish. You could easily finish 24th with these guys that we're going to talk about next. AJ Allmendinger. Originally, I would love to play AJ Allmendinger because he's great on flat tracks at Martinsville, at Indy. But starting 14th, there's just no upside here. His average finish here is 20.3 in the last four. And he's averaged 25 DK points the last four. To me, there's no upside. I mean, if I was going to play AJ Allmendinger, you might as well just play Bubba Wallace, starting 39th. He had a gear shift issue The last time we were here, his average finish is 32nd. And then the first race he ran here, he filled in for Eric Almirola and had like 2 or 3 pit road penalties that race, like right in a row, and it messed him up. So I think he's better than where he's starting, and starting 39th. I mean, you need to play him over Casey Kane. He just signed his extension this week too, so that could be good for him. Maybe he's gonna perform well with that. Wanting to show out for the big money extension he just signed. Again, just give me a top 20, top 25 of these guys that we're talking about here. So here's where we're getting into the next nitty gritty. These guys would normally be in play as your punts, but this week, to me, there's just no value in these guys. Chris Buescher starting 12th. No thanks. David Reagan starting 16th. I want to say no thanks, but then again, this guy seems to always finish better than what he does. But again, starting 16th, no thank you. Starting 30th, sure. Michael McDowell starting 13th, no thanks. Ty Dillon 15th, if he was starting further back, sure. Loved his car in practice, but just starting 15th, I just don't see how you can play the guy. But then again, if I'm playing any of these guys down here, it probably would be Ty Dillon. Ross Chastain starting 22nd. He'll go to the rear because he did not qualify the car or practice in the car. So because he was in Iowa for the Xfinity race, so he has to go to the rear on driver change. Alone start 22nd. He'll be starting negative and just not worth the play. With all the guys starting in the back. Matt DiBenedetto, he's just been horse shit here the last 5 or 6 races. And I want to say I looked him up the last 5 or 6 races, and it was issue after issue after issue after issue with him. And he just did not finish well, starting 18th. Total fade. Corey LaJoie, Landon Castle, JJ Yaley, Reed Sorensen, BJ McLeod, Timmy Hill, Kyle, or whatever the hell his name is, Weatherman, are all starting from 21st or 20th through 27th. Don't even bother playing those guys this week. I don't think you can punt past, in my opinion, Bubba Wallace. You eliminate AJ Allmendinger, play Casey Kane. William Byron, Paul Menard, those guys, I don't think you could punt past. If I were to punt past anyone, it would be David Reagan. Past those guys, it would be David Reagan, just because for whatever reason, he seems to take care of his stuff and finish races. So that's the lowest I would go is David Reagan. Cores this week. Oh, man. It's going to be a tough one this week. The 18, the 4, obviously are cores. I don't know how the Dominators are going to go this week because originally Harvick was going to be my top play, sit in the pole, and be in the fastest car in practice. He failed tech 3 times. 3 or 4 times. So I'm not sure if that's going to affect him at all. So my course. Let's get down to it. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer, Ryan Blaney, Eric Almirola, Austin Dillon, Paul Menard, William Byron, Casey Kane, Bubba Wallace are all going to be a core play for me. Denny Hamlin, I think, is going to be your early dominator with him and Brad Keselowski. Like I said, my sneaky dominator of the week is going to be Chase Elliott. I just want to mess with this real quick. Let's throw Kevin Harvick. Let's just do a Stuart Haas build here. Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, Almirola, and Clint Boyer. Those 4 guys leave you $6,400 for your last 2 spots. You can easily come down here, throw Bubba Wallace in at 39th and have $6,700 left. And you go Paul Menard, William Byron, Casey Kane. I will have that lineup in for sure. In a build, another build, like you can easily do a build of guys starting like 28th on back. Like if you want to throw Kyle Busch in a lineup with Ryan Blaney at 35th, Clint Boyer at 34, leave Kurt Busch out because he's starting 7th as a play. Throw Bubba in, throw Kane in. You can have Austin Dillon in there. You can have $1,000 left, which allows you to bump up these guys. And it's just, this is one of those weeks. I give this slate. Originally, I was going to say a D because I was like so confused and thrown off by the qualifying issues. But I'll bump it up to like a C slate this week. Low Bs, maybe, because I think you can easily play a lot of these guys starting on back and be okay. Cash lineups, I would only play one of Kyle Busch or Kevin Harvick in a cash lineup, and I think you can easily get away with 0 of them. And you can easily play like a cash build, easily could be Clint Boyer starting 31st, Blaney starting 33rd, Almirola starting 34th. Like you put those 3 guys in a cash build with high floor like that, and you have $8,000 left for your last 3 spots. You can easily punt down to a Casey Kane and a Bubba Wallace starting in the last 2 spots, and then you can fit Harvick in. So you can go Boyer, Blaney, Almirola, Kane, Bubba, and Harvick in a cash lineup. To me, that cashes all day long because of the upside there. If you wanted a dominator in a group like that, I think you can easily go Denny Hamlin and then throw Austin Dillon in and then a Paul Menard. And you can go Boyer, Blaney, Almirola, Hamlin, Dillon, Menard. If you didn't want Hamlin, you could punt down. Not punt down, but you can play Brad Keselowski starting 4th. You can bump. You can't bump Menard up really because I don't like those guys in that range. I don't think you can bump up Austin Dillon either. You can see what this gets you. I mean, if you wanted to take Almirola out, you could throw in Jimmy Johnson, Chase Elliott as another guy. I wouldn't play this week. I think you kind of treat it like a Talladega Daytona with the top 10 guys. So the guys starting in the top 10, Suarez, Hamlin, Eric Jones, Brad Keselowski, Jamie McMurray, Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch, Martin Truex Jr., where's 9th at? Ryan Newman and Alex Bowman. I wouldn't play more than one of those guys in a single lineup. And I would rank those guys, honestly, Hamlin 1, Truex 2, Brad 3. I think Truex will go under-owned this week just because of his price tag and starting 8th. I think he was going to be under-owned to begin with. But now with the big 3 starting the way they are, I think he's going to be even more under-owned. Kurt Busch, I'd probably put 4, Chase 5. Like I said, Chase is my sleeper pick. But just because Hendrick Gear hasn't been great this year, I would put him a little bit lower down on the list, but I'm going to play him in the lineup. Just see what I can get out of him. Who are we missing here? The rest of the guys, Bowman, Suarez, McMurray, Jones. I would probably go Jones next. Suarez, I would put up there with Jones, kind of like tied for sixth there. McMurray is a no play. Alex Bowman's a no play. Ryan Newman's a no play. Well, fellas, ladies and gents, I hope this helped. With everything, it's just been one of those weeks where post-tech qualifying throws a wrench into everything. If you have any questions, hit me up in the chat. We're going to have some fun this week. I'm going to play 3 lineups in the $180 DraftKings contest, and then probably 20 in the $4 contest. So I'm going to have some ownership spread out. Probably not going to play the Beast this week again. Me and a friend of mine are shooting for that $180 contest. Big prize of $10,000 to the winner. So we're going to have some fun with that. Like I said, if you got any questions, hit me up in the chat. And we're going to have some fun, fellas, because I really think this is going to be a good week. Everyone's going to be scared off this week, but don't be scared. Just stick to the drivers, stick to the strong guys, stick to what has worked. Don't get too crazy. I think people are going to get way crazy this week, and it's going to hurt. Don't get me wrong. A crazy lineup could win the whole thing, the whole shebang, but play one of the studs or don't. Go total place differential. Throw Hamlin in there as a dominator. Throw Brad in there as a dominator. Throw Sneaky Dominator in there because it's shown this year that it's going to be crazy. This, that, and the other. I'll be around tomorrow prior to the race. Hope you guys enjoy the video. And we'll talk next week. Watkins Glen road course. All right. Good night.